Hello, everybody. Jean Anderson Pierre, the beer, ramble, and gambling look at tonight. If I'm forgive me for mispronouncing it, but Weihenstephaner, Heffen Weisber. Am I
We'll,
right, Eric?
we'll give it a second try. I'm gonna go with Weihenstephaner.
Yes.
Stephaner, kind of like Stephanie,
Right.
sort of like that.
This is my first time sampling this beer, and I bought it at Rouse's, and I was looking at it just real briefly. I didn't do much research on this, but I was wondering what's the best way to kind of keep this, and I think I might have did a boo-boo on this. They said it's probably better to kind of keep it somewhat at room temperature. Look at the temperature on the side, 46 to 52 degrees, and I had it in my fridge for about 4 days, so it might be a little cold, but oh well.
Yeah, mine's a little bit. Mine's probably around the same temperature. Although, with this being a 500 milliliter bottle for everybody else around the world, it's a pint point nine fluid ounce bottle. So, for it being that size, I think it's going to inevitably, want to warm up to that ideal and optimal type temperature.
Right.
I
Let me go
have.
get my can opener and my glass, and I'll be right back. Go ahead, tell folks about the beer.
Sure, I am Thomas Metal 75 on YouTube. My YouTube beer show is called the Massachusetts Beer Review. And for the Hefeweizen beer from Weihenstephaner, I have the Weihenstephan Weisenglass. So that's cool. I got this beer in a 5-pack in a variety pack for Christmas. I actually bought it as I bought this beer pack as a Secret Santa gift, and I ended up getting it back because I really wanted the beer. But,
right.
So this beer comes to us from the Weihenstephaner Brewery. They are in Weihenstephan, England, Germany. And apparently, the story goes that they are the world's oldest brewery since 1040 AD. And I guess at that point in time, this was a part of the Holy Roman Empire in Germany.
Right.
Now, this is a Hefeweizen style beer. It is 5.4% alcohol by volume, 14 IBUs, and they say it our golden yellow wheat beer with its fine poured white foam, smells of cloves, and impresses consumers with a refreshing banana flavor. Full-bodied and It is full-bodied and with a smooth yeast taste. All right, we'll go with that. Since 1040.
5.4. It doesn't smell like it. 5.4, but
Now they say when you pour this beer out, you want to have, you want to sort of tilt that glass, get it rolling around the side of the glass, and then at about like a third or so left in the bottle, you want to swirl. Oh, I got a little more than that, but you want to swirl the bottle to release all of those yeast notes at the bottom of the glass. But naturally, a Hefeweizen is going to pour that thick kind of a head, which is why they give you a long style glass to use traditionally.
Got to close. I do some little maneuvering here, adjusting around the house. Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at the same thing. Eric. It just has a nice color. It kind of reminds me of the color of Blue Moon a little bit. I mean, do you think so?
Yeah, it's definitely in the light. It's a little more orange than a Blue
Moon,
but if you look at it outside direct light, it definitely has that hazy, lemony yellow look, and it's super charged and carbonated, almost like a champagne. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
The head is thick as
very thick head, very substantial. Yeah, I said I paid for mine's $2.99 at Rouse's when I got this, and I said, all right, and
yeah, these beers are fairly expensive,
reasonably. Yeah, but for the size I got, it's a pint size. I guess it's reasonably priced. I guess.
Yeah, these beers are usually pretty well ranked in Beer Advocate and Rate Beer, and people usually like these as far as the German wheat beers are concerned.
Right.
Good style to try. Good one to try in the style.
Right.
Ooh,
Well, I like the head. I really like the head. It's and with these styles of beers, it doesn't really need anything to enhance the taste to it. I mean, just to me, looking at it, just to figure that people, with the style, they like to put oranges or something in it. I think it's just fine without all that other
Yeah,
stuff.
you
That's just
would
me.
probably end up offending people in Germany or in that part of Europe
Yes,
if you put the
yes,
lemon on that.
I would think so.
And it has. I guess when I go to the smell of the beer, since we talked about the appearance, it does have kind of a lemony note, kind of that obviously that coriander and clove kind of a spice that you get from wheat beers. There's a little bit of that traditional kind of a bubble gum. I know it sounds strange, but there's a little bit of that bubble gum kind of a note. And I mean there is a little bit of orange too. I don't know what else. I don't know what else are you getting out of that.
More about the same, more orangey, lemony, kind of citrus.
Yeah, it's a very
Kind of,
citrus forward beer, and it definitely
right.
has nice sweet bready malts, but it smells absolutely refreshing as a beer style.
Yeah.
So I am going to dive right into that one. I would like to cheers. Happy birthday
Yes.
to TV
Thank you.
regular out
Appreciate it.
there.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Good way to toast the birthday. Cheers,
Yes,
everybody.
it is. Yes, it is. Mm.
Damn.
Yeah. I wonder if it's this time of year. Maybe it's good to have this. I figured more like the spring, but I mean, right now, this is pretty good.
This foam pours out like whipped cream, I tell you. This is crazy. It is. I'm getting those bubblegum notes right up front to me.
Very carbonated, as you said. Very carbonated.
Very crisp. It has a clean taste to me. It's very, very refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm getting a lot of different. Kind of fruit notes and spice notes. What are you getting out of your sample?
Again, like I said, the top is very foamy. It's going down very refreshing. It is very, I want to say, soury going down, finish it in a good way, not a negative way. Kind of so sour, little, when you get done,
Yeah, it's
it has a
definitely
little
tart.
sour bite to it in the
Yeah,
end, but
definitely tart, I would say.
But it ain't bad. Like I said, I just think it'd be perfect for this for spring, so the winter,
Absolutely.
but this is a really really decent beer.
Now, couple of I'd say a couple of variations within the beer style of Hefeweizen. There are a couple of different styles. You can get what's called a Crystalweizen, which is an entirely filtered version of a Hefeweizen, which fortunately or unfortunately, depending on what you like and taste,
Right.
filters out some of those yeast particulates that actually give a lot of that banana and clove sort of notes to the beer. And then there's also a Dunkelweizen, which is a dark lagered version of a Hefeweizen beer. So depending on what style and what kind of if you like a lighter beer, if you like a darker kind of a beer, there's a lot to go for in the wheat beer range than just the Blue Moon kind of a style of beer or
Right.
a shock top for sure.
Well, everyone says, and let's get deeper into the style. Everybody said when Blue Moon came on the scene, everybody says, "Wow, this style is so rare." But this style has been around for a long, long time. It's just like with beers like this before, but we just never really saw much of it because those were considered like very specialty, sort of things. But this style has been around like forever, and only until Blue Moon came on the scene, people started realizing, "Ooh, this is different. This is unique. Ooh, this is nice." But it's been here forever.
Exactly. And it would make sense that if the American market started producing a beer like this, where you can say, well, that's the way that I envision it. Is that they can market, say, a Coors Brewing Company can market a beer like this, or like a traditional Belgian wit beer they can market a beer like this, and it would be, you know, it would be highly accessible because it's not too crazy out of their flavors that people can't appreciate, and
Right.
they can kind of, you know, step up from the traditional just light beers or malt liquors or adjunct lagers. You can step up from stuff like that
Right.
entirely with this kind of thing. And the thing that separates, and I didn't mention this, I don't know why, the thing that separates a lot of the German beers from a lot of other places around the world is, I don't know if you can see it on the bottle. If you look at the left-hand side of the bottle, on the front of the bottle, it says brewed under the
Purity law.
of 1516. Now, I don't know if you probably have heard of that before.
I've heard of the purity law. Yes.
What that is called, they call that the Weihenstephaner, which means that beer can only be four things. You can only have yeast, water, malt, and hops in your beer. So again,
It's
we're getting
ingredients.
all these bananas and cloves and coriander spices and bubble gum, and it's created by only four flavors in this beer, which is kind of amazing that Germans can make these kind of beer styles, and it's only four ingredients, and they all taste different.
That's it. One thing I noticed with a lot of these German beer companies, and I've, even some of the ones like with Pilsner Urquell and whatnot, is just that they really take their time in really producing good stuff without having things to be rushed. And I think that's the way why I've always embraced it. I'll embrace any beers and Euro lagers I've had. And even when I'm drinking these, I know the ABV may be between 3% and 5%, which may be low to some people, but maybe I guess, yeah, is low. But it's just something about those beers that have a sort of very strong, very powerful quality to this. I mean, this right here, 5.4% is very good, and I feel very relaxed right now. There's a few sips I've had of this beer, and it goes to show you, and you know what? I think the BMCs, they can make this beer. I know they can, and they probably have made styles like this before, and they could put it out in the market before the Blue Moons came onto the scene, or the Shock Tops or whatever. They can do this, and they could have put it out there, but for whatever the reason, let's just keep doing what we're doing. That makes us the most money. And I understand, but you guys have done these styles of beers before. But for whatever the reason, you decided not to because, well, whatever, we still took and you were still going to stick to what you're doing to make money. And then when these other guys came on the scene, the craft guys started making these styles of beers, you started noticing what's going on. And then you're coming out with this stuff just to, I guess, gobble up and tell them, hey, we'll put a so-called name, Blue Moon Company or Shock Top Brewing Company, whatever. And, we'll just, say that, and this is our this is our brewery, and but y'all have done these styles of beer before, and you never put them out there. And so, but something about the Germans, the way they do it is just exceptional.
Yeah, and again, this brewery is just about 1,000 years old. So if Weihenstephaner isn't getting this beer style down correctly, then they've been doing something wrong for the last 1,000 years. Right. And most people would agree. And usually in my beer reviews, I don't usually like to, mention the beer rating websites, but most people would seem to agree that this particular Hefeweizen is about the best that you can get. The bros of Beer Advocate are giving it a 100. The Beer Advocate people are giving it 98 that go on and rate the beer. And out of the style on Rate Beer gets a 100, and for a beer overall, it gets a 99. So people that really like their Hefeweizen, people that really look for this kind of a German wheat beer, this is ranked #1 on Beer Advocate. So this is a good, if you've never tried an authentically German Hefeweizen beer, or you're looking to expand your beer drinking repertoire, you want to, help somebody branch out for the first time from a Miller, Coors, or a Budweiser, which nothing wrong with those beers. This would be a perfect one to try because it's got all those nice flavors. It's got it's not a very light body, but compared to a lot of things you can get in, say, Box and Doppelbox and Imperial Russian Stouts. It's a very light and easy drinking sort of a body of beer, which is why I think in Germany this is, including with Pilsner beers as well, this is very easy to market to people and to get to people, because there's not much, unless you don't like the base flavors. It's a very just relaxing, as you were saying, relaxing, easygoing kind of a beer. It's not supposed to be, it's not really traditionally supposed to knock and rock your socks off, but this one is just an absolute delight to drink to me.
Yes,
I would definitely agree with, I don't know if I would agree with 100, because there doesn't leave much room for any beer to be just as better, but I would give it an A+ range. It's a fantastic brew.
Yeah, I think it is very much so. And another beer I saw when I picked this up, I saw another one. I don't know if it might have been the same people that do the Spaten Optimator, and it was not the same style, but it was another style from the same company.
Are you talking about Weihenstephaner?
Yeah. They had another brewer that I saw out there. I should have picked up, but it was about for the same price, $2.99. You probably know the name, Eric. I saw it at Rouse's.
The base beers they make on a year-round basis, I believe, are this Hefeweizen beer. They have a dark wheat beer. Their Dunkelweiss beer. They have a Korabanian, which is a Doppelbock beer. They make a filtered version of this one called their Kristallweiss beer. And they have a Pilsner. They have the Vitus, which is just a single box style, and then they have their premium original, the original premium, which I believe is a German style Pilsner.
Okay.
That
might have been one of those. It might have been one of those that I saw.
This is a tremendously good place to start if you know nothing about German beer or the German beer brewing scene and what that's all about, especially since this is the oldest brewery in existence since 1040 AD. That's ridiculous. Since the Holy Roman Empire.
And it's still producing the same good stuff. Man, this is really nice. And the Bavarian style, which you always see, and I know who has that name a lot. Most of the beers I've seen, I know Busch, regular Busch has that Bavarian thing they put on there.
Yeah, they used to consider them. They used to, I think, it used to be called Busch Bavarian.
Right.
At one point in time, they sort of realized that they don't really have much in common with Bavarian beers, so they took
it doesn't.
They took that name right off of it, but it still says Bavarian on the can. I think it says as crisp as mountain air or something like that.
Right.
Crisp and clean as mountain air.
Would you bring this to a dinner party? I would.
I think I would. I've heard. There's a beer review channel. I think this guy, I forget what it's called. I think it's like beer pairings with Dr. Dave or something like that. This guy, or Dr. Bill. This guy, okay. Bill Sizik, that does a bunch of brewing with the Stone Brewing Company. He reviewed this beer with another gentleman, and he was talking about how if you only had one beer lying around at your house and you wanted a beer to pair with food, he would choose this beer, and this beer to him is this Hefeweizen style. To him is one of the most versatile pairing, styles for beer, and I would agree with that to a certain extent. I think this kind of a beer is really good with foods, and I think saisons with that are sort of similar, but they have a little bit more of that sour, funky barnyard thing going on. But if you don't want that kind of a flavor, you don't want really too much of a souring component, this would be a good beer to try. It's not really too sour. It just has a little bit of that tart component, and I think it would go well with chicken or pork or fish or seafood.
Chicken, I was thinking like rotisserie chicken, something like that. Nice little salad on the side with your chicken. That would go well with it.
Absolutely.
House salad, garden salad.
I am looking right now at the it's called the BJCP.org, and that stands for the Beer Judging Certification Program, and our fellow YouTuber and beer reviewer Tanya, likes to really talk about that style guideline. I mean, not so much. You don't want to really, to me as a beer reviewer, say what you give your
What you
thoughts on
feel.
that, John. But as a beer reviewer, I don't really. I tried it once. I was a disaster. I don't really try to lean too much on the beer judging guidelines because if I think it's all messed up as far as what somebody created as a guideline for a beer, then I'm just going to start rating it really badly. But I like to look at a beer for what it is and for what this is. I think it's very good, and even in the style, I think this one is done very, very, very well.
I think so too.
The German, apparently they say in the certification guideline that according to, it says by German law, at least 50% of this beer must be style must be malted wheat, although some variations use up to 70%. The remainder of the beer has to be comprised of Pilsner malt. So again, you're going to get that light. You're going to get that light to medium body, as they say. It's going to have that refreshing sort of a wheat beer taste that, say a Blue Moon's got to it. It has a little bit of a spicy, fruity, sort of a malt component, and some of that is from the malt, but more of that component comes from these yeast flavors. You're not going to get that kind of a flavor out of a filtered crystal Weizen beer. This one's got that special sort of a yeast flavor in there for a particular reason. It may be cloudy and it may have a little bit of sediment in it, but it's all there by design and for an exact purpose.
Right.
But I would buy this again.
I would buy this again. Again, $2.99 for the size of the bottle for a pint bottle. And it was available in singles instead of buying a 6-pack.
Yep.
Which unfortunately I had to buy the other day for $10.50. Not a 6-pack, but a 4-pack. And you probably saw the review for $10.50 I did. And I posted on YouTube.
That's a scary beer
awesome.
That's a scary beer because at being whatever it is, like at 10%.
10.5. Yes.
I mean, you can tell it's 10%. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't really have a strong perception of 10%. It's straight scary on the drinkability with that beer.
Yeah. And like I said, you better be home if you're going to sample that beer right there. 10.5. You better not be on the guzzle and then about to hit the road and go run to the store, get some milk. I mean, you will be
on your ass
in the slammer, exactly, or maybe pull over to some ditch.
Absolutely.
We don't want that to happen. Like I said, but that's a beer that is very, very powerful. But
yeah, I'm gonna give this beer straight up A+. I have no problem giving it around.
It's a straight A to me. It's an absolute A to me, and I'm glad I picked this up. And like I said, when you mentioned it, I said, okay, great. I said, all right, I hope I find it. And the guy that I had gone to, and this is where the next time we talk about beer prices.
Yep.
It was he had a 6-pack of this in 12-ounce bottles for about $11 or $12 for a 6-pack. And like I said, it's a local store. You want to support local business. You want to support local company. Things like that. Small businesses. But for the price for this beer, and I went to Rouse's and I saw this for $2.99 for a pint. I said $2.99, $11.99 for 6er. I said, well, I'm only going to sample this beer one time. So, I said, why not? $2.99 seemed about reasonable. So I went ahead and grabbed it. But, Maria Devine always talks about this, and she always says, beer should be enjoyed no matter what your economics is, no matter what. Beer should be enjoyed by everyone, and I agree with that.
This has to be, you bring up a good point, not to cut you off there, but you bring up a good point about that. If you want, I mean, seriously, I don't care that it says premium. I think the word premium, it says premium Bavaricum on this bottle, on the bottom of the bottle here. And to some of us reviewers on the internet, I think the word premium sort of brings up all kind of red flags to us because we see all the normal styles of American lagers out in this country, and they all say premium, premium, premium. And most of us that are not really big American style lager drinkers kind of go premium. Well, if it says premium, they must be, they must be talking, they must be not serious about this being really premium, because every time I've had premium beer, it doesn't taste premium. But this, when I'm getting back to the point, this actually does taste like a premium, really well-made beer.
I think so too.
And the point that I was getting to was, you said everybody should be able to enjoy a beer at any kind of a socioeconomic kind of a class. I think anything just about that I've ever seen from Weihenstephaner, it is one of the best beer brands for the money, for the value I've ever tried in my life. It's like you said, $2.99. It's about
that's not bad.
It's about $3.29 in my area for their bottles like this, and they're world-class beers that get world-class recognition. So I think it deserves that A+ rating from myself all day long. What would you rate the beer if you had to?
I'm rating this beer about an A+, definitely. I think it's real good. I'm glad I spent this money, and I'm glad you mentioned it, Eric, for me to get so we can do this review, because like I said, I've seen it before, but most times, I'm looking at the 12-ounce bottles of the Pick 6, or one of the cool things about Rouse's and stores like them, and you probably have a lot of stores where you are. To me, Rouse's is the only store in my area where I can maybe buy, of the 12-ounce bottles, maybe 3 beers, 2 beers, what is that I like, and I'm okay. Where most places where if I go to as mandatory, I got to get a 6-pack of bottles, and that's what's frustrating for me. And I was like, well, I really don't want to. I just want to get this one bottle or second bottle, 12 ounce, and then that's it, and go on my way. But mandatory, you got to do the Pick 6, and I got a couple of beers I have in my little wine cooler. I'm gonna be reviewing coming up in the later weeks or days or so.
Awesome. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, and but like I said, for $2.99 for this, I mean, this is really was worth the money, and I really enjoyed this. So,
and as it warms up to me, it has more of those. It has more of those spiced components. You can definitely, now that I read that the style has that Pilsner malt, it does have that sort of have that refreshing, almost a Pilsner kind of a thing going on with it. So I get all those spicy notes. I get the banana, and I get more of those I know, strange again, bubblegum notes. There's a little bit of that hubba bubba kind of thing going on in that style, and I think that's from that yeast. And so definitely more of the natural flavors of this beer are coming out at a closer to room temperature to me.
Yeah, I agree.
That's where I'm at on the beer. It's an A+ all day.
Definitely, like I said, definitely worth it. So, like I said, let's say for this, it was an awesome price. I really enjoyed it. So, like I said, folks, if you're out there, sample this and go ahead and buy it. Like I said, Eric, I'm probably going to butcher the words. Weihenstephaner, right?
There you go.
Weihenstephaner, Heffen Weisberg. So, everyone, again, thank you for watching this review. This has been a pleasure. Eric, thank you for coming on and doing this with me.
Massachusetts Beer Reviews on YouTube.
Thank you. Again, if you see Massachusetts Beer Reviews, watch Eric, Thomas Metal, Massachusetts Beer Reviews, watch his, and of course, you see some of my beer reviews at Beer Ramble or under Jean Henderson Pierre, Jean H. Pierre on YouTube. So, thank you again, everyone, and good night, and be safe, and cheers.